This is Fight Forecast, and coming up on the show, former UFC champion Dricus du Plessis unpacks a seismic UFC 322 main card. We hear from Nico Pajarillo of Fox Sports Australia, who was at MSG on a night defined by vicious knockouts, breakout performances, and a main event that shook the division. We also catch up with former two-time IBF light flyweight world champion Sivenathi Nontshinga as he maps out his road back to the top, plus the biggest headlines shaking the combat sports world right now.
The former UFC middleweight champion announced the first Knox Legacy Series event in February next year in conjunction with the city of Cape Town. The event will see the EFC promotion return to the mother city after a long absence and will feature some of the organization's top athletes taking on international opponents. Newly crowned UFC welterweight champion Islam Makhachev says he might retire, but only if his longtime mentor Khabib Nurmagomedov tells him to. With his dominant run, 16 straight wins, tied with the great Anderson Silva, it raises real questions about how much longer he wants to stay at the top. In a surprise move, the former undefeated UFC champion has revealed his plans to announce his second retirement, this time from coaching. His exit could leave a massive void in Makhachev's corner just as the new champ settles into welterweight. After his big KO win over Leon Edwards, Prates says he believes Makhachev would be the easiest fight for him, even claiming his style is a better target than Usman. He explained his game plan: defend takedowns, wear him down, then attack the body and legs. A bold claim from the nightmare of the fighting nerds. UFC President Dana White isn't sold on the Jake Paul versus Anthony Joshua fight. He called the fight a really bad idea, even if he admits he'd tune in. He's warning that this bout might be more spectacle than sport. The UFC lightweight champion publicly slammed Makhachev after UFC 322, calling his win boring and saying, "Every day I'm more certain I put you to sleep." He also insulted former champion Jack Della Maddalena following the fight, suggesting Della has serious wrestling issues.
UFC 322 saw a night of drama, and one man who was at Madison Square Garden in New York was Fox Sports Australia's combat sports expert Nico Pajarillo. Let's get his take on the event in the Big Apple.
Thank you very much, CS. Yes, it was a dominant performance from Islam Makhachev over our very own Jack Della Maddalena. We from Fox Sports were over there at Madison Square Garden in New York City to cover the fight. Needless to say, it was a disappointing result on our end, in terms of building Jack into the hero we know he can be, but taking nothing away from how good Islam Makhachev was. He was able to execute his offensive grappling very, very effectively across the entire 5-round fight at UFC 322, resulting in a unanimous decision victory. He did very well in not simply laying and preying on Jack, but rather trying to attempt as many submissions as possible across the 25 minutes. I thought he was really active on the ground in trying to secure that head and arm choke, or trying to cinch Jack's neck up, or indeed isolate a limb, which at times he was able to do. But Jack, I think to his credit, defended very astutely. I thought he was brilliant in defending Jack. He was able to scramble very, very well time and time again. Sadly, CS, as you know, simply surviving doesn't win you rounds, and it certainly doesn't win you the fight. So credit to Islam, who is now a 2-division champion within the UFC. I think one of the big talking points heading into this fight was the size difference. I spoke to both combatants of the main event earlier in the week, prior to the fight, of course, and I asked them about just that. Because if you look at all of Islam Makhachev's previous opponents, particularly throughout his title reign at 155 pounds, they're all former featherweights, right? Charles Oliveira, Alexander Volkanovski twice, Renato Moicano, and Dustin Poirier, all former 145-pounders. Let me tell you, Jack Della Maddalena has certainly never fought at featherweight. In fact, he had a couple of fights at 185 pounds at middleweight. So the question was raised, would Islam be able to have his way with Jack on the ground as he was able to with his previous opponents? And that question was answered for us over the weekend. The answer is yes. Being able to witness it in person and just taking a look at them stand side by side, face to face, inside the octagon, you would think that Jack was the one moving up. Islam looked huge on the night, and that's a credit to Coach Khabib Nurmagomedov, Javier Mendez, and his entire team for managing this move up in weight so very, very well. And I think it showed during the fight. Islam was able to impose his size and strength on Jack Della Maddalena, who just wasn't able to get out of second gear. You know, he had opportunities in every round to begin the round. However, those opportunities were clearly snuffed out as Islam Makhachev took him to the ground time and time again. You know, we here in Australia are obviously feeling the pain of this result. We have over the past week, you know, and we feel for Ben Vickers and the entire team at Scrappy MMA who have worked so tirelessly hard to get Jack into that position. Jack will forever be a UFC champion, and he very well might be once again in the future. He's one of only 3 Australians to achieve a UFC championship, of course, outside Robert Whittaker and Alexander Volkanovski, who still remains the featherweight champion. In terms of what's next, it's interesting because I feel that Jack is still very much a pay-per-view fighter. I still feel that is where he belongs. You know, on the big stages, the big premium live events within the UFC. However, I could also see him headlining a fight night against one of the many contenders in the welterweight division, which I'll get to in just a moment. But Jack, in terms of his fight style, remains one of the most exciting fighters, not only in the welterweight division, but across the whole UFC. He's a knockout artist who comes to strike, and he's certainly proven that not only in his UFC run, but his entire MMA career. There are no shortage of contenders at 170 pounds. You think of just this past weekend, Carlos Prates securing an amazing first-round knockout victory over Leon Edwards. Michael Morales doing something similar to Sean Brady and securing a victory there. The fight that is taking place between Bilal Muhammad and also Ian Machado Gary could produce a #1 contender. And of course, there's the forgotten man in the 170-pound division in Shavkat Rakhmonov, who of course secured that title shot supposedly in December last year, but because of injury and other circumstances, we haven't been able to see this whole year. So, you know, there's a big question mark over whether he comes back. I still feel that welterweight is the strongest division currently within the UFC, particularly with regard to the top 15 ranked guys. With regard to depth, there might be other divisions that might be a little stronger. However, I certainly think in terms of top contenders, 170 is the most dangerous division in the UFC. So I think Jack's got his work cut out for him in attempting to reclaim a title shot. And I think Islam Makhachev has no shortage of opponents, or potential opponents, with regard to his next title defense. But I think the name on everybody's lips is the name that I asked Islam Makhachev about post-fight. In person there, I spoke to him and I asked about Ilia Topuria, who of course called him out immediately after the fight this past weekend, UFC 322. He described Islam as the most boring fighter he'd ever seen. I said, Islam, what are your thoughts on that? You know, would you welcome a fight against Ilia Topuria, who currently holds the belt in your old division? He said, yes, of course. I want to test myself against the best fighters in the UFC. And he also said, I'm feeling great at 170 pounds. So I said, wait a minute. So Islam, are you saying that you'd have to accommodate him at welterweight? Or are you happy to move back down to your old division and fight him? He told me, I'll have an answer for you in a month. I'm just going to enjoy this victory. So that remains to be seen. But for now, what is secure and what is certain is that Islam Makhachev is a 2-division champion within the UFC. He did it brilliantly, he did it dominantly, and frankly, I don't see anybody in the near future at least being able to dethrone him. But I think with regard to what I said earlier, 170 pounds, there's certainly no counting out any of those contenders.
Thanks to Nico from Fox Sports in Australia. Didn't go JDM's way on the night. Dricus, what did you make of that main event at UFC in the Big Apple?
Yeah, I mean, we called it last week, and I knew it was going to be a tough fight. It just seemed like Islam had an answer for every single thing JDM threw at him. You know, if you look at that fight, it kind of looked a lot like the fight with myself and Chimaev. You know, these guys have a style that needs to be figured out. And that's just the way the sport goes. We've seen this over the whole time period that the UFC has existed, that you go through eras of the game. And right now, these wrestlers, especially the Russian-style wrestlers, just have something above the rest when it comes to wrestling and being able to control the guy on the floor. Definitely not, the entertainment that people necessarily want to see. But if that's how they want to win and that's how they win, then that's the way to do it. And I mean, they've proven very successful in that. Of course, with JDM, I do believe in terms of game plan, you know, he had some moments of brilliance when he he got his shots off, especially in the clinch. I think he should have initiated the clinch a bit more, because when they are standing at range, he would wait and he would be very tentative to throw because he's scared of the takedown, but he gets taken down anyway. And then, of course, that heavy front leg of his, I think that was great by Islam's team to notice that and go, okay, let's kill that front leg. And they did a great job at that. So, I mean, great performance by Islam. I mean, a total dominant performance. And yeah, we called that one.
We did indeed. I think 16 wins now. He's equaled Anderson Silva, one of the greatest of all time. Champ, who stops him?
Yeah, I mean, that is an incredible record. That's what I said when we talked about this fight. He's just so good. It almost feels like there's nothing he can't do. And when it comes to the fight, but the fight I would still want to see. I know he's at welterweight right now, but the fight I would love to see is him versus Ilya. I think that is the way to go. I think that's an amazing fight.
Yeah, Ilya's had a lot to say, hasn't he?
Yeah, absolutely. He's just full of confidence, and rightfully so. He's still the pound for pound #1 fighter. He's also a double champion. I don't think we cannot let that fight happen eventually.
Hopefully it happens in 2026. Now, Valentina Shevchenko proved why she is one of the greatest of all time. She's yet another title defense. Weili just looked a bit small on the night and didn't have any answers.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, when you look at Weili, she's so fast. Like I said, I was in the warm-up room next to her. She was warming up next to me when I fought in Perth. And I just couldn't believe how athletic she is. But then you saw Shevchenko, just the way she's built. She is built differently. She is strong. You could see on a physical level, she was just too overwhelming for Weili. She didn't shoot on those takedowns, which was very smart from her team, because Weili is too good, a low center of gravity, too good at sprawling those takedowns. She got those double unders, which she always does, and just to use the power to overpower and get her down to the ground.
I don't see many people stopping her. I know there's talk around Amanda Nunes. I don't know if that's going to happen. We'll have to wait and see. Where that falls into the UFC's plans could be interesting. But I think what is interesting, touching on the welterweight division, was Prates showing that he is a proper nightmare for that weight division.
Yeah, I mean, that was probably one of the hardest calls for me to make last week was, how do you go against somebody with the pedigree of Leon Edwards? He was a champion, didn't have a great performance against Bilal, lost that fight, but coming back from that, fighting Prates, who's this new guy, and that's why I picked him for that fight, because he has this attitude of, I'm here to do what I do. Where I see Leon Edwards a lot of times, he is so good. I think skill for skill, he is better. I do think so. He is so skillful. But then you have Prates who has that fighter mentality, and he doesn't think about it. He goes and he fights. Well, a lot of times with Leon, he's trying to be too perfect. And then a lot of times what I see is he's overthinking everything, and then the moment's lost. So yeah, I'm very happy for Prates. He did a great job. I mean, I love both those fighters. But Prates right now just on a tear, and very happy for him because this was the next step in his career.
I suppose whenever someone wins a belt in a weight division, there's always going to be guys calling them out, especially straight after a win. I'm sure you've experienced that. But all of a sudden, Prates is calling out Islam. We've got Ilya shouting. We've got all sorts of people throwing their names into the hat. Kamaru Usman saying he wants to fight Islam. How do you make this? Do we see Prates getting a title shot? Does he deserve a title shot? What do you make?
Yeah, that is the welterweight division within, I want to say 6 months, just became from a division who didn't have that much depth to all this, almost a change of era. Yeah. A lot like what happened in the middleweight division. And all of a sudden you have all these potential contenders. I mean, we wouldn't be mad if anybody got the title shot. I mean, you have Ian Gary there, you have Morales there, right in the mix, you have Prates there, you have all these guys that are just, and then of course Usman, for what he's done in that division, he will always deserve another shot, if it makes sense. And that's what, it's amazing. But I don't think we should be handing out, because especially there's time now. There's going to be 6 months at least before Islam fights again. Yeah. At the very least. And let these guys fight it out until there's a true contender. And I would love to see that. There's so many amazing fights to make.
He's hinted at retirement, if reports are to be believed, Islam. I mean, how do you read into it? Because he's saying if Khabib says he must retire or it's okay, he might hang it up. I mean, we saw Khabib at the height of his career call it quits. Do you think that's a possibility?
Yeah, of course. I think for a lot of guys, and I mean, it's a very hard decision, I think, for any fighter, is, are you going to retire from this sport, or is this sport going to retire you? And I think if you have such a resume, why go out there and, wait for the downfall? Because it is going to come. So I think a lot of the guys, they give it their all. They literally dedicate their whole lives to it, like most guys in the UFC does. And then it's done. I mean, when there's nothing left for you, that's how I feel. If there's nothing left for you to achieve, then you are basically, financially is more than set. Yeah. When it comes to achieving the ultimate goals as a fighter, he has achieved every single thing. I think let's give him one more fight, and wins that fight. He has the longest winning streak in the history of the UFC, and I can't imagine anything more than that would really get him excited.
You mentioned Morales. I know you like him. He's 19-0. It is a phenomenal record. His coach is saying he's the biggest threat to Islam. I mean, he just came in and put on a show, didn't he?
Yeah, I mean, if you go against Brady, Brady's grappling.
Brady's good.
He's great. Yeah. He's great. I mean, he's had an off performance against Bilal. Then he comes and fights Leon Edwards with an amazing performance. And Morales just went, and that's when we picked that fight. I just couldn't see it. I mean, did you see the height difference? Did you see the size? Morales looks massive, and he is massive. Yeah. I mean, he weighed, what they say, almost 190 pounds. That's a 20 pounds in the 24 hours, in 12 hours actually from the weigh-ins. So he is a threat. I mean, and the great thing about him is the judo background as well. So he's just a striker, but the judo background is something that we haven't really seen him use because he's such a powerful striker. I like him a lot in that division. I think he's a problem for any fight, for any fighter in that division, 100%. I think, and what's great about him is he's got the personality, he's got the, he has that aura around him. I think he's a big star in the making.
One we didn't get right. We all called Dariush to get past Benoit Saint-Denis. 16 seconds later was the Frenchman with his hand raised. What did you make of that?
Yeah, I mean, that's one of those fights why we love to hate or to hate to love this sport. I think Dariush did great. It was landing those low kicks, and that's what we said. We said his kicks looked phenomenal against Moicano in the last fight. And he was landing. I mean, 5 seconds before Dariush got knocked out, he put Benoit down with a low kick. And he was really chopping at that leg, and they got into that clinch, and one shot he didn't see coming right behind the ear, and that's a fight game for you.
It's the fight game. He speaks about the BMF belt. I mean, for me, he's the perfect person to have a crack at that BMF belt.
Well, if you look at the BMF belt, I mean, there's so many people. I think, yeah, I mean, anybody who wants to go out there and do that, you have to understand that there's a certain, you almost sign a contract on how you're going to fight that fight.
Yeah.
If you want to fight that BMF belt, you can't go there and win it by unanimous decision, holding a guy down. You can win like that, but I don't think the crowd's going to be cheering afterwards. When you sign that BMF contract, you have to know. You have to go out there, you got to fight like a Justin Gaethje, Dan Hooker. Yeah. You have to go out there and fight like a Max Holloway. Dustin Poirier. That is why these guys fought for that title. Even a guy like Masvidal. When they went out there, it's kill or be killed, and that is when how you get picked to fight for that belt.
Out of interest, is it something that interests you at all down the line? I mean, firstly, get back to the middleweight title, which we know is in your destiny. BMF belt, would that be something to look at?
Yeah, I mean, I think the BMF belt started out as a really big joke, and then it became a thing, and it's almost, if you look at my fights, I do think I qualify in terms of what it takes to be the BMF title holder, but my mind's consumed by that middleweight title right now, and we'll see down the line, maybe.
Last one, Jake Paul, Anthony Joshua. I mean, we do speak about other combat sports here, not just MMA, but Dana White has said it's a really bad idea. He didn't use those exact words, he used other words, but it's a bad idea.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if this fight is, and it is a professional fight, it's not an exhibition fight, it's a 10-ounce gloves, a professional bout. I mean, Jake Paul's been counted out a lot of times in a lot of the fights, but he's never faced a real boxer that is not elderly, somebody that has grandchildren. This guy is actually somebody that is a fighter who knocked out Francis Ngannou. Yeah. A guy that is the world champion. I don't think it's a good idea either.
Let's just hope that Jake Paul doesn't get too hurt on the night.
Listen, but that being said, this is the fight game.
This is the fight
Anything can happen on any night, and I mean, for Jake Paul, this is great. Obviously, money-wise for For Anthony Joshua to take this fight is actually, it's ridiculous, but money talks.
It's a fight game. It's the hype game, right?
Absolutely.
Well, there you have it. UFC 322 has come and gone. We've got Makhachev, who is top of the pops, along with Shevchenko. We'll have to break down what happens next in 2026 with some of the fights that we want to see. Now, from the octagon to the boxing ring. Former two-time world champion Sivenathi, the special one Nontshinga, is a man on a mission. And that mission is to reclaim the title he lost to Masamichi Yabuki in October last year. He is hungrier than ever to step back into the ring after a long layoff and ready to remind the world exactly who he is and why he is a threat to all who stand before him.
Fighters are judged on their ability to overcome adversity, and those who manage to successfully navigate their way back to the top are regarded as greats. A man who is eager to prove that he is indeed of the greats is former two-time IBF light flyweight champion Sivenathi Nontshinga.
Boxing has done a lot for me, gave me a way when I thought like life was so difficult for me. You seeing other kids being taken to school with cars, with their daddies and everything else. But you know that one thing that I always say, I'm gonna get it by myself. I'm gonna be the one who's gonna get it. So like being crowned a world champion, it's a dream come true. You just know that from the beginning of your journey, since when you were young, you started boxing, you wanted to become a world champion. To go out there, man, and tell other kids that it is possible. You don't have to let anybody tell you that you can do it if you believe in your capabilities. So I had a lot of ups and downs. So I believe in minor setbacks for major comeback.
His loss to Masamichi Yabuki 13 months ago has only motivated the 26-year-old even more to reclaim the title.
I'm the special one because in history, I managed to rewrite history, become the youngest world champion ever, the first boxer to reclaim a belt straight in an immediate rematch. So this is a testimony. I have to share it with the world, with the young kids, who have dreams, because I always speak highly of myself, speak positive things, and turn faith into motion, turn my dreams, my thoughts into motion where you can see them physical. So each and everyone must do that. And I always believe that I'm a special one because back at home, I broke a lot of chains. I built houses. My mom's got his own own house, my dad. So I have to give back to people that uplift me, man, to become the person that I am. That's my purpose. As I said that I want to shine light upon my people because without all of those people, I wouldn't be here today. I wouldn't be sitting on this chair. So yeah, man, I'm just grateful and I promise you, bro, we'll get back to the top, with that positivity, with that energy that we have. If you are able to take a punch and fall down, simply means you can get back up and throw one. So to be great, you must inspire and motivate others.
And there is a laser-like focus to achieve his goal.
I want to do this comeback. I want to fight all the best boxers, man. I want to become multiple division world champion. And I believe if you want to become the greatest, you must outwork the rest. That's the philosophy that I always put on my mind. And I want to win all of those belts and come back here at home. So I want to shine light upon the youth. Where I come from. I want to build something. I want to become a hero. I want to be remembered just like our father Nelson Mandela.
Betway, we don't just reward you for playing, we reward you for staying. Introducing Betway Rewards. Earn points on every bet you place. It's that simple. You can also convert your points to cash whenever you like. With Betway, loyalty always pays off. Join the action today and start earning points.
I'ma always win.